Marking and cutting fabric for 6-piece sari petticoat with frills. At the end of the session, you will be able to measure and mark fabric for a 6-piece sari petticoat with frills. Cut fabric for a 6-piece sari petticoat with frills. Let's first familiarize with the tools and materials required for measuring, marking, and cutting the fabric for a 6-piece sari petticoat with frills. They are 2.7 meters of cotton fabric, measuring tape, tailor's chalk, pattern square, and shears. In the first session, we had made calculations for all parts required for making a 6-piece sari petticoat with frills. We have the length measurement for each of the panels as 37 inches, waist width of 6.5 inches, and bottom width of 13 inches. The waistband consists of a length of 36 inches and a width of 5 inches. The frills consist of a length of 216 inches and a width of 5 inches. The cord has a length of 50 inches and a width of 1.5 inches. First, we will mark and cut fabric for the waistband. Take a single layer of fabric and place it widthwise. Draw a straight line in direction of the grain and close to the cut edge. This line needs to be 36 inches long. Then measure and mark 5 inches throughout this line and connect the marks in a straight line parallel to the baseline. At both ends, connect the two lines in a right angle. Now cut along the marked lines. Thus we have finished cutting out the fabric for the waistband. Now we will mark and cut fabric for the 6-piece sari petticoat. For that, first fold the fabric widthwise so that the cut edges align and the fold is towards your side. Now we get 2 layers. We will now measure and mark the 6 pieces of the sari petticoat. At the right end of the fold, ½ inch away from the selvage edge, make a mark. This is point 0. Draw a right angle line starting from this point next to the selvage edge to which it is also parallel. Starting from point 0, measure the length of the panel which is 37 inches along the fold. Make a mark and draw a right angle line more than halfway through the fabric. Check if the distance between the two drawn lines is the same from the fold throughout, and if not, correct it. Starting from point 1, measure half the waist width which is 3.25 inches and make a mark. This is point 2. From point 2, continue measuring another waist width of 6.5 inches and make a mark. This is point 3. From point 3, measure one bottom width of 13 inches and make a mark. This is point 4. From point 4, measure one more waist width of 6.5 inches and make a mark. This is point 5. Make sure that all the measurements are precisely marked and if not, correct it. Because if any of the measurements go wrong, all the ones after that also go wrong. Now we will do the same at the other drafted line but starting with the bottom width. Starting from point 0, measure bottom width of 13 inches and make a mark. This is point 6. From point 6, continue measuring waist width of 6.5 inches and make a mark. This is point 7. Now from point 7, measure bottom width of 13 inches. Make sure that all the measurements are precisely marked and if not, correct it. because if any of the measurements are wrong, all the ones after that would be wrong too. Now let us connect the points marked on both sides in the right way to get the panels. Since the distances between the points are longer than our pattern square, we will use a measuring tape to mark a midpoint which we can connect then. First, connect 0, 2 in a straight line. Similarly, connect 3, 6 in a straight line. Then connect 4, 7 in a straight line. And finally connect 5, 8 in a straight line. Thus we have completed drafting the 6 pieces of the sari petticoat. Starting from point 0, we can cut along the drafted lines of the skirt panels of the 6-piece sari petticoat. Remember, we are cutting through 2 layers of cloth. Now, we have finished cutting all the 6 pieces of the sari petticoat. Now let's see how to mark and cut fabric for making a cord. Take a long fabric piece from the leftover fabric. As you can see, the one we have here is still double folded. We can use the straight cut edge otherwise and draw a straight line in direction of the grain and close to the cut edge. Here the line needs to be only 25 inches long since our fabric is double folded. If not, you need to take 50 inches. Then measure and mark 1.5 inches parallel to this line and connect the marks in a straight line. At both ends, connect the lines with a right angle. Now cut out the fabric for the cord. Thus we have finished cutting the fabric piece for the cord. Now we can see how to mark and cut the fabric strip for making the frills. Take the 2 large leftover fabric pieces after cutting out the skirt panels, aligning the selvage edges and the cut edges. Since we don't have a fabric piece as long as 216 inches, we will cut it in several pieces. Let's calculate how many strips we need to cut. The longer leg of our fabric is 40 inches wide. So we need to multiply 6 times 40 to get a number bigger than our calculated amount for our fabric, which is 216 inches. Later while sewing, we will cut off the excess amount of the strip. Thus we have to cut 6 strips of fabric to make the frills. Here we are using double folded fabric, so we need to cut 3 times to get 6 strips. Let us see how to mark and cut the fabric strips. First, draw a right angle line from the cut edge across the width of the fabric. Then measure and mark 5 inches parallel to this line and connect the marks in a straight line. Again from this line, measure and mark 5 inches parallel to this line and connect the marks in a straight line. We need to repeat this one more time to have 6 strips. Now we can cut along the drafted lines for the frills. Remember, we are cutting through 2 layers of cloth. Thus, we have finished cutting the fabric strips for frills. Now we have all the cut pieces for making a 6-piece sari petticoat with frills. In this session, we have learned to measure, mark, and cut fabric for a 6-piece sari petticoat with frills. Before we conclude, let's take a look at the key steps in marking and cutting fabric for the 6-piece sari petticoat with frills. Step 1. First, mark and cut 36 inches long and 5-inch wide fabric for making the waistband. Step 2. Fold the fabric widthwise and mark the length skirt panel, which is 37 inches. Step 3. From the top, first mark half of the waist width, which is 3¼ inches, then waist width of 6½ inches, bottom width of 13 inches, and again waist width of 6½ inches. Step 4. From the bottom, mark bottom width of 13 inches, then waist width of 6½ inches, and again the bottom width of 13 inches. Step 5. Connect points marked on top and bottom to get the skirt panels. Step 6. Cut out the 6 pieces of the sari petticoat. Step 7. Mark and cut fabric strips for making the frills. Step 8. Mark and cut a length of 50 inches and width of 1½ inches for the cord. With that, we've come to the end of this session.